Hi, normal Gallagher fan here. I love Gallagher and I love the entire mystery surrounding him, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm actually growling, snarling, and curling on the walls, figuring him out. I think amongst the theories I've had ever since his drip marketing dropped, this theory is one of the most plausible with the most factual and thematic evidence. The more that I had unfolded him, all the way from the spine-chilling line in his stories where he alludes to not being human, and Gallagher being a quote-unquote lie, all the way to the very end of the Trailblaze quest, I was afraid. I'll be honest, I felt like Black Swan when she was being bodied nasty style by Akron for entering her mind space. This video is a massive adaptation of all my written theories on Gallagher, plus some insights and observations I've made. I go through what's present in-game to symbolic analysis. The short of the theory is, Gallagher is a memory zone meme, created by the Watchmaker. Okay, you can click off now. Part 1. Gallagher is a memory zone meme. In the end of the 2.1 Trailblaze quest, Sunday drops a bombshell on us as he reveals Gallagher's true nature. As he puts it, Gallagher has the physical traits of the 52 family members that he had suspected of being the possible traitor and culprit of the serial murders. That he is a multiple of tiny truths molded into a complete lie. Following up on this, in Gallagher's third story, there's a part where he alludes that he may not be human. On an aside, I find it interesting how the same quote from Gallagher is a touch different. The voice line version was used in their 2.1 marketing, which cleverly hid the real line in the third story.
Tie's all messed up. Not that you'd notice. Around Penacony, no one gives a hoot what you're wearing. They don't even care if the person they're talking to is actually real.
Given the enigmata theming all around Gallagher, it's rather clever. Memory zone memes, on the other hand, are amalgamations of different cognitions, memories, and emotions from the memory zone. The following quote for Something in the Mirror reads, quote, "Life forms use mirrors to understand the world and build their self-cognition. The shapeless mimetic entity reflects in the mirror, leaving behind ever-shifting mirages." End quote. Something unto death, the elephant in the room, is a manifestation of people's fear of death, as it is a concept that shouldn't even happen in the dreamscape. A meme, as defined by Encyclopedia Britannica, is a unit of cultural information spread through imitation. Memes in concept carry information such as ideas, culture, or behavior through to other people and can mutate and evolve as it's transferred around verbally, visually, or electronically. With this in mind, we can make the educated assumption that Gallagher is a meme himself, as he had imitated the physical traits of numerous family members without taking them, or that singular trait away. It's as if he copy-pasted them onto himself, like an imitation. I also observed other things, mainly through his design that align pretty well with this theory. For example, Gallagher uses the Raging Heart as his ascension material. This is more of a stretch depending on the potential in getting more fire units in the future, but where it stands, I find it relevant enough. The Raging Heart material comes from a memory zone meme enemy, the Shell of Fated Rage. Interestingly enough, they are manifestations of rage, anguish, and resentment, bursting into flames. An interesting metaphor that could be applicable to Gallagher's own resentment towards the family. Another visual detail is that Gallagher's signature color is magenta. You see it on his clothes, his secret claw, the VFX of his attacks, and even on the can he uses for healing. In marketing, it's also the color that's allocated to him. This color is specifically his, and it's not something that he seemed to have inherited or mimicked from someone else. Memory zone memes, on the other hand, especially Something Unto Death, have stark magenta, purple, or pink eyes and cores. When we match up Gallagher's signature color and the colors of the memes, they aren't exact, but they're within the same spectrum. To me, they're similar enough. One more thing. When you look at the writing style of Gallagher's stories, they have a sense of disconnect. There's a sense of being outsiders, like we're in the perspective of an aspect of Gallagher's life from the outside, looking in and observing Gallagher himself. It feels like being within a reflective surface, and our own reflections looking at us from different angles. It adds up to this idea that there are multiple aspects and fragments within Gallagher all looking within each other. But then I actually started reading the stories properly, and I noticed inconsistencies. For example, in the first story, it describes a scar across the face, which Gallagher lacks. But you know who does have a scar on his face? Woolsey. Woolsey is one of the family members that Gallagher had imitated. You look at the last comments on most of the stories, and the signing off as Note Sweet Dream Drinksman. and he realized these are all Gallagher's notes, observing the people he's mimicked and reflecting his own personal thoughts on their lives, often musing on their similarities. And then you have the final story, where he talks about himself and confesses his true nature at the end. The meme at the center, already so embedded and entrenched in its identity as Gallagher, to the point that it's too far gone in its own quote-unquote lie. It's easy to make the counter-argument that some of these points feel a bit more coincidental and more of a reach, as if I'm seeing these connections just because it's in my current line of thinking. Is there something that's a little more concrete? When I was exploring the area for lore, and not for any stellar jades because I was desperately pulling for that final Gallagher copy, I went into Sunday's office and found some interesting documents, which made me sit up and actually read them. It made me go from, this theory is pretty fun and cool, to, oh shit, am I actually cooking something? For the first of my smoking guns, recall that Gallagher alludes that he's one of the watchmaker's children, implying that he was likely a creation by him. Now, one of these documents are records of the watchmaker's patterns of behavior from numerous Amber eras worth of tracking by the family. In one of the accounts, it reads this, quote, "The Bloodhound family has examined the memories of witnesses and revealed that nearly 6% of the eyewitness reports are genuine. However, it is strange that the watchmaker appears as a blurred image with a bizarre voice in each memory, with inconsistent details such as body type, appearance, and even gender, once these memories have been decoded. We hypothesize that the watchmaker possesses the ability to conceal his appearance on a memory level, an ability often associated with enigmata. Therefore, there might be external forces supporting the watchmaker." End quote. Basically talks about how the watchmaker has an ability that can obscure his physical appearance in eyewitnesses' own memories, which aid in his evasion from the family. They then make the theory that the watchmaker's powers ring similar to those of the enigmata. Recently, we had discovered that Gallagher was also accused of being associated with the enigmata as well. To add on to that, there's another document which reports of numerous incidents caused by other factions. One of them was by the history fictionologist, a faction of the enigmata. In it, the family records how they distorted a clocky sculpture by merging it with an unidentified meme, meaning there are implications that using memes is part of an enigmata pathstrider's repertoire. As for my second smoking gun, and this was by sheer luck of owning this document, I don't remember where I got it, but in the document, quote, "Supernatural Encounters from Paperful Academy," end quote, they talk about a very interesting case of a meme gaining a human-like appearance and intelligence through its heightened exposure to humans. You see where all of this is coming together now, right? When you combine 1. The watchmaker's abilities ringing similar to the enigmata. 2. Enigmata followers having the ability to produce memes. 3. Gallagher being accused of being associated with the enigmata. 4. The case of a meme becoming a sentient human. 5. What we know of Gallagher and Memory Zone memes. It all makes sense. All of these truths combining to one complete Gallagher. Gallagher is very much likely a Memory Zone meme. Part 2. I try to think super deep on mixology. While we have in-game evidence of the theory, I also want to point out ideas that err more on the thematic and symbolic. After all, a character isn't just what they say or do, but what is implied and under the surface. Gallagher's main interest is mixology, the culinary art of mixing drinks. I think on a symbolic level, mixology complements Gallagher super well. Think about it. He's a combination of diverse range of people, of different experiences, traits, and memories. But when you view the traits isolated, you know they're imitations as they were taken from a source. But when combined together, they create a seamless and cohesive cocktail. Gallagher. Whenever Gallagher talks about mixing drinks, he has his own philosophy behind it. He talks about how mixing drinks involves mixing in your own emotions, experiences, and personality of both the mixologist and the customer. and when combined together, you have a unique cocktail reflective of you.
Making a drink is a sensory skill. In dreams, creating fizzy concoctions requires adding a bit of your mood. Heavier if you're troubled, touch sweeter if you're in high spirits. It's not just about mixing beverages. It's about mixing the experiences of life.
Does this sound familiar? It sounds very much like how memory zone memes work, how they're all vessels of fragmented memories, emotions, cognitions, and experiences. While we're also on the topic, I want to bring up Dream Jolt Hostelry, the lounge in the sealed-off dreamscape reverie that serves the monsters that preside there. It seems to be Gallagher's stomping grounds outside of work, as seen from Gallagher's friendly relationship with Shoban, the owner of the lounge, and how it's implied he regularly goes there to mix drinks. Not only that, but in the 2.1 trailer, he's preparing a drink in the lounge for a Dream Jolt dome screen. The lounge is also located in an area of Pinacony swarming with corrupted Dream Jolt troop members and the Memory Zone memes. Notably, this is also where you encounter something unto death in key moments of the story. If you know, you know. I'd like to believe Gallagher is pretty comfortable with the company of monsters, going by the fact that he himself is alike them. In the event Vignettes in a Cup, where you take over the Dream Jolt hostelry temporarily for Shaban, she explains that the reason why she mixes unique drinks for the Dream Jolt troop monsters is because it helps regulate their emotions. As quoted by many, Shoban and the monsters themselves included, the dreamscape's collapse is what caused their instability. Now, what's interesting is that Gallagher has an idle animation where his scar glows and flares up with his signature magenta color, in which he takes a swig from his hip flask and observes his scars calming down. We don't know how long this condition of his has been going for, but as a non-human entity, meme or not, I'd imagine the dreamscape's decay is also affecting Gallagher, and he drinks that specific concoction in his hip flask to regulate the effects it has on him. On the surface, his interest in mixology makes it for a really cool trait to have on a suave and grizzled older man. But when we're combining the assumption that Gallagher is a meme, the symbolism of the art, Gallagher's philosophy behind it, and even the importance of his favorite lounge all add up. Part 3. Something unto death. Okay, now we can start to address the elephant in the room, and that's Gallagher's mysterious connections to death and something unto death. For brevity, I'll call it death meme. His connection to death meme aside, Gallagher has a ton of death symbolism that make him rather ominous and unsettling, as we do not know what the implications are for him. The most striking and apparent hints is his iconic "I'm 13" response. A lot of people have already pointed out that 13 is the number for the major arcana death. Furthermore, death represents transformation, beginnings, endings, and change. It further emphasizes the idea of Gallagher being a meme who transformed his appearance, as well as the followers of the Enigmata being able to transform and change history and memories, as well as the properties of certain memory zone memes, like something in the mirror. 13 is also a common number in many cultures and faiths, used to represent bad omens, misfortune, and death. Take a look at the most famous superstition of Friday the 13th, for example. Another example is in Christianity. Judas, known for betraying Jesus, was the 13th apostle in the Last Supper, which is also interesting as Gallagher confesses that he had betrayed the watchmaker by doing nothing. When Gallagher makes you a drink in the Trailblaze quest, no matter the choices you make, most of his drinks will always have a name that's associated with crime or death. Actually, they're all references to American crime literature, which also fits into the nature of his occupation. He also gives a rather sardonic toast to each of them. All of his eidolons are different cocktails. This makes sense, he's a mixologist after all. Though, it's interesting that at least 4 of them are death-centric: Corpse Reviver, Last Word, Death in the Afternoon, and Blood and Sand. You know, as if he couldn't get any more edgier. It's as abundant as how many times he likens himself to a hound or a dog. And also look at his playstyle. He's the first Abundance character to apply debuffs and to scale off break effect for his healing. A major chunk of his healing derives from him and or his teammates delivering pain to enemies. His aggression and strength are rewarded. Don't you find it ironic at all that a character who has so many ominous signals to death with apparent mastery over the manifestation of death, heals his teammates through the harm of others. I don't know, helps me with my skill point management at least. Look, I'll be real. I don't know what the exact correlation here is. Could Gallagher himself be a meme related to death and misfortune, like our good friend Death Meme here? Why is Hoyoverse being so specific about the death symbolism? What is the relationship between Death Meme and Gallagher? Are they different flavors of the same fear of death? But what I do think is certain, Gallagher's death symbolism feels like in itself an omen. In regards to his control over Death Meme, I don't think he has full mastery over it. Not to the point where he could have orchestrated every single murder Death Meme delivered. He's not writing in a death note. He just knows how to tame it when he needs it. He has sway over it, enough to call it to him. But when he's not in control of it, it goes back to attacking indiscriminately, like a predator on the hunt. There's no evidence to this, it's more of an intuition. Sunday said so himself. Regardless of how Gallagher allegedly committed the crime, the fact that he's connected to death incarnate is concerning indeed. On the same branch, speaking about Sunday, I spoke about it on a Tumblr post I already made, but I don't think Gallagher quote-unquote killed Sunday with pure malice in mind, or for the sake of killing. Rather, I think he quote-unquote killed him in r/malicious compliance. Keep in mind that before this scene was Akron and Aventurine talking about how the only way to cross the threshold and access the Watchmaker's legacy is quote-unquote death in the dreamscape, which would be hard to achieve given that the family covers it up, and when a dream chaser is in duress, they are immediately taken back to reality for their own safety. The only way would have been Death Meme, but it's unpredictable and attacks indiscriminately. Hence, Aventurine's whole scheme to die. Sunday is pressing and confronting an alleged enigmata follower, so of course he wouldn't give a straight or easy answer, or even an answer at all. So, to the question of what happened to Robin, Gallagher went, "Fine, fuck you if you want to know the truth so badly, and let Death Meme do its thing." And that's my argument as Gallagher's defense attorney, Your Honor. Part 4. Why do the heathen rage? In the mission Why Do the Heathen Rage?, we learn of the secret history of the Watchmaker, as well as Gallagher's own personal story. Whether it's true or not due to being a follower of the Enigmata, take with a grain of salt. But, for the sake of it, let's take it at face value. I'm sure you've noticed that a lot of Penacony's Trailblaze missions are literature references relevant to the themes of Penacony and or by classical American authors. Take the mission Heaven is a Place on Earth, a song in the 80s by Belinda Carlisle. Funnily enough, it's also the theme song for the Black Mirror episode about a simulated utopia accessed through your mind and subconscious. Why Do the Heathen Rage is a fragment of an unfinished novel by the American author Flannery O'Connor. Get it? Fragment of a novel. Gallagher is made of fragments of different people. Memory zone. Fuck it. I'm going insane repeating myself. Based on what little we have of the story, it tells of a man, Walter Tillman, who lives on the family farm. He starts to write letters to Una Gibbs, a black civil rights activist. However, when he writes to her, he catfishes as a black man, with the intent to quote-unquote test her commitment and integrity to her beliefs and values. On the can, it sounds terrible. Going with what we know in hindsight, Gallagher is masquerading around as an imitation of a human, with abilities only possible if you were a meme. He is also a follower of the me when I lie and spread misinformation aeon. Okay, this is where I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat for a second and go all Pepe Sylvia, I've connected the dots, you haven't connected shit, I've connected them on you. This is an aside from the main theory, but it'd be worth using what we've theorized to color in Gallagher's backstory. And what's a theory without a little bit of reaching and stretching and having a little bit of a fantasy? It's evident that Gallagher was close to his creator, Mikhail the Watchmaker, and either through the memories he's reflected as a meme or by experiencing it himself, he's lived enough to know or witness the events of Penacony's history. Again, take it all with a grain of salt as he's an Enigmata follower. But I also said in the beginning, let's just humor him and take it at face value. One of the nameless that settled in Penacony was the Expressus guard Tiernan. Both Gallagher and Tiernan are Irish names, and both have jobs to do with security. This could be a coincidence, but I more so believe this connection than some Joe Schmo being Tiernan's descendant, especially when you have to consider that Gallagher holds a lot of fondness in respect to the Nameless and the Trailblaze, as well as having a sort of parental role with Misha, who is also a descendant of the Nameless, who also enthusiastically looks up to Gallagher. Now, I have to wonder, if Gallagher is Tiernan's spiritual successor, did Mikhail create a meme using Tiernan as a base, and then with the added ingredients, you'd have a Gallagher cocktail? Or did Gallagher pull a Venti and choose to take upon Tiernan's identity first? To be honest, we won't know until 2.2. So, where do we go from here? This patch's 3 featured characters all have more than meets the eye, and have strong ties and implications to the plot ahead. If Gallagher is a meme, similar in flavor to Something Unto Death, created by the Watchmaker with powers associated with the Enigmata, then what is he doing? He knows something that we, Sunday and the current generation of Nameless, do not. He's grown jaded and melancholic in his current life. He describes how he failed the Watchmaker in doing nothing, and that he's expressed resentment over working for the family, who were the ones who drove the Watchmaker away due to his own betrayal. He's unhappy being the family's dog, but he also wants answers for the Watchmaker's actions. Perhaps, deep down, he's already found the answer. As a meme with strong associations with death and close connections with Mikhail, Gallagher knows something about the truth of everything. And what is he doing about it? I think Gallagher is doing his job. As a bodyguard, as a security officer, as the dragon guarding the tower, as a loyal hound, but not to the family, but his true master. His actions towards Sunday are both an act of malicious compliance, but to also continue obscuring and smearing the truth. He's many things. He's many people, all mixed into a beautiful cocktail of experiences and memories. But above all else, he's a faithful old dog who wishes to be loyal to the end. So that's my video essay on Gallagher as a normal Gallagher fan. This is my first time ever putting my voice out there. Very nerve-wracking, but hey, slay! I'm not particularly sure if I want to do this sort of video in the future. I just wanted to do it impulsively just because I love Gallagher so much and I'm very proud of this theory, and I just kept finding more and more evidence, and I thought, hey, it'd probably be easier to compile it all into a singular video so I can put a cap on it, hopefully. I don't really use this channel for much other than speed paints or whatever game clip I feel like posting, but if you subscribe, that's cool. Thanks. Oh, and if you like and subscribe and blah blah blah. Bye.